especially a big hog, a bar hog hits it just right. We're talking 300-400 pound hog. These hogs will lay up, come out at night, come back in. Starting to weld the final stuff on the elevated platform for a customer. So he's building this. Y'all may want to look away, but I think there's something wrong with it. If you'll pull your app up, your Jaeger Pro app, go in there and it'll show you if the camera is actually, it's either too much rain, not enough rain, or just right. That's the life of a farmer. It's a gamble. On the schedule for today is we're going to a 10,000 acre tract. We have trained people in the past on how to trap hogs, large tracts of land. We'll train their staff, we'll show them, everything you got to do. And then generally, they cut us loose because they got what they needed. This particular property, a little different. We trained them and they decided to keep us on. So I think in theory, we're like a consultant. That's a really big word for me, but we are a consultant. That's our job. Our job is to fine tune the cameras, fine tune the gates. A lot of the heavy lift, they take care of it. It's actually, surprisingly, it's a great working relationship. It's just a little different for us, where we're not having to, I've dropped a couple gates for them, I've killed some hogs for them, but for the most part, they're dropping their gates, they're, dragging them out. It's kind of been, back and forth, but for the most part, they're doing what I would call the heavy lift. We just review the pictures, give them, thoughts. And so we're headed over there today to do that. They did trap a bar hog. So a bar hog is a boar hog that someone, and I really don't want to get into this because it's irritating to me. So all I'll say is it's a boar hog that the testicles are removed for the reason so the hog can't reproduce, but then the hog is released back into the wild. Then it turns it into this 300-400 pound hog. I briefly talked about this on video the other day. Gigantic hog. It can't reproduce, but man, it is a beast. Extremely hard on traps. They're extremely hard to trap because they've had a real good brush with human beings. I mean, you put yourself in their shoes, or how would you feel? Another tactic that we see in the trapping world, not done by trappers, but the ears will be removed of the hogs. And so we've trapped those kind of hogs, and they're hard to trap. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just not. But I can tell you that on a personal level, I'm adamantly against it. On a professional level, adamantly against it. I can't even wrap my head around it. So I don't want to make it a preaching session here or a soapbox. I can just tell you that I'm adamantly against it. This property did trap a bar hog, did a lot of damage to the gate. Walked the manager of the property through it, and he was able to straighten the gate back up. We were going to straighten the gate this morning, but we don't have to now. So we're going to move a camera for him, kind of situate the gate, kind of look things over, consult. And then we've got trap maintenance to do on another property. If we have time, we'll catch that on the way home. So Zeb's going to go with me. Wyatt's going to be in the shop today working on another welding project. He just got back from batting practice. And absolutely beautiful, wonderful day in South Georgia. You can see the lift in me today. I've got or I should say we have a 15-year project that we are hoping will be finished next month, and we are going to unveil it. And now that by now you all have figured out that I had a whole completely other life before I became a professional hog trapper, and those worlds have combined. And so next month we're going to unveil this project, and it just warms my heart like you cannot believe. Just brings tears to my eyes. 15 years. With that being said, we got to get on with it, right? We start off easy in the beginning, and we do the heavy crap at the end of the day. So we're going to start off easy, get back on track. So hopefully y'all like the new camera. It's going to be hard for me to get used to it, but here we go. All right, so we have a problem. We're using the new camera, and the baby sees the big furry thing on top that looks like, I guess she thinks it's some kind of critter. I don't know, but she's really wanting to bite the new camera. So you'll have to work with us here. Baby, it's part of the equipment, it's not a toy. But she thinks it's a toy, like a little chew toy. So, a little update here, Wyatt is starting to weld the final stuff on the elevated platform for a customer. So he's building this. It's a 7x7, but it's for a Cage, C-A-G-E, portable, semi-portable, considered more permanent hub line. Company out of Texas. We looked them up online. We put our hands on one. Our customer bought one and asked us if we build him a platform for it. So Wyatt's putting some little boots on there so they don't sink down on the ground. Expanded metal, 1.5 inch square tubing, and looking pretty good. Been making some cuts over here. So he's going to do a little bit more welding, and then it's going to be completed. So, as our customer said, if it's not good as a, oh, here comes the baby again. She wants this camera. If it's not going to be good for the blind, they can always grill steaks on it. Okay, so we're here on property. As you can tell, beautiful, beautiful piece of property, planted pines. This is about a 10,000 acre tract. It's exclusively a hunting property. They're going to sell some timber, but for the most part, you're not dealing with like row crops and things like that. You'll see over here that we've got the trap set up. This is not typically where we would put a trap personally, but as I said, we're more of a consultant on this job. After we train them, we're a consultant. So for us, the way we like things, we would be in the woods, but this trap, it's a single gate Jaeger Pro, located outside some planted pines. We have trapped several groups of hogs. Currently right now it's just a single bore. So what we're doing today is fine tuning the gate and fine tuning the camera placement. We've got the big pole, get this trap ready to go ahead and take out this single bore. So we're going to show you how we attach our gates to T-post. It's a little system we came up with that we like, and then kind of walk you through the process of getting this trap ready to fire. So as I said back at the shop, this is kind of our first time of using the new camera. So Zeb's helping me out today doing some filming. So work with us as we get adjusted to the new camera. This is it's the older gate now for Jaeger Pro. They have a newer model out, but great gate. We have tons of them in the field. This is the gate that I was talking about this morning that got bent. We have a video of myself straightening the gate. I walked the manager of the property through, so he kind of straightened the gate. We've tested it, looks good, it's straight. They can only make these gates so strong, and if a hog hits it just right, especially a big hog, a bar hog hits it just right, we're talking 300-400 pound hog, it's going to bend it. We see the majority of gates getting bent because people respond in the daytime. They drive right up to the trap, you know, stuff that we don't do. We respond at night, we walk up, we sneak up. So, but in this particular case, we were involved with a gate drop. It was at another location on the property, and the gate got bent. So it is what it is. So we're going to walk you through real quick how we put our gates on. Now, some people will take a metal clamp, and you don't have to use a T-post, but we do, and we've always used one. Some people will take a metal clamp and clamp. It's a 5-foot T-post. We normally drive it down just below the blades. It don't need to be real far down, and then they'll attach a metal clamp to it. We personally don't want that. I want this thing to have a little give to it, just like, you know, we want these panels to give. So we're all bow hunters. Zeb and Wyatt and I are bow hunters, and when you put on your safety harness, when you're tethered up, it's got multiple ways to tear and fall, so it's not a hard jar on you. So this is the way that we came up with our system, is we want this gate to be sturdy. We want it to be able to take a good hit, but we want it to give a little bit. So what we're going to use are some big zip ties. We use one on each way. So you're going to come in with your zip tie. We usually come down 3 notches. Pull it in tight. Okay. Now if you come over here, you're going to see that what we're going to do is wrap this big zip tie back around this way. So we're going against the locking mechanism. We know the failure point of a zip tie is the locking mechanism. So the first thing that should break when the hog hits it is the locking mechanism. Then we're going to wrap it, big surprise, we're going to use Gorilla Tape, and then the Gorilla Tape will break. At that point, they've pretty much probably got all their steam out, and it may shift it left or right, it may push on that T-post, but it's giving. Each time it hits, it gives a little bit. And that's what we're looking for, is not something really, really solid. Using the example of how you tether yourself to a tree, you're going to want a little break to it. So all we're going to do is take a little piece of Gorilla Tape. We're going to wrap back around this way. And then we're going to take a bigger piece and wrap it more. The beauty of it is, when we go to move our gates, when we move traps a lot, especially on big jobs where we're moving all over the property, we can just come in with a pair of tin snips, snap that, pop the T-post out, and we're gone. It's quick and it's fast. That's why we like big zip ties and Gorilla Tape. So we're going to give it another wrap, and that's it. If the hog hits the gate hard, the locking mechanism will fail. And if they hit it hard enough, the tape's going to break. We've seen it where we'll have a wad shot over there, which is the zip tie and all the tape laying over there. We've even seen it where they'll shift the gate that way. But again, it's allowing, personally, we want our traps to breathe. We want them to be flexible. And if you compare it to like martial arts or anything, I mean, if you're a rigid thing and get hit, it hurts. Keep that movement going, it's good for the trap. So in this particular case, the bar hog did damage the gate, but now it's straight. What we're looking for, and we talked about this in another video, is this square peg. If this gate gets bent, that square peg is going to be over the top of that piece of angle. The gate will not function as designed. It's not going to work. So what you have to do is get the gate to where it's straight again, not the frame. This part is the gate. You get that straight, everything works as it should. So we're going to undo this, see? So I call it the alligator. I can hold it all day with my hand, but if it's laying on top of that angle, this gate will not drop. That's no failure of the design. We all can only take so many hard hits. So put the safety pin back in. And then what we're going to do is basically do the same thing to the other side, which will take care of that one. We're going to put a fresh battery in our control box. We're going to mount the big pole. We're going to get our camera angle up. We're going to test the camera. We're going to test the control box. We're going to take our corn. We're going to pour us a line, and we'll be ready to trap hogs. So in order to mount the big pole, we use post hole digger. I dug a lot of post holes when I was younger for my dad. I hated every minute of it, but now I seem to enjoy it. It's just funny how things work out like that. So we dig down, go ahead and drop the big pole into it, and then we'll come in here and we'll go ahead and tamp it. It's not super deep, we're not concreting it in because we're moving this thing around a lot, and then we'll just come in and tamp it in place. What we want is for this pole to be roughly 1.5 feet maybe off of these panels. If you're in an area where there's a lot of coons will get on these panels, they run them, just walk them, and then they'll get up here and start screwing with your camera. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if they watch videos and that's entertaining for them. So if you're in a highly infested coon area, then you may want to bring your pole off a little bit more. Now the thing is that we see a lot with people when they're mounting a camera is the camera's not high enough, and what they're doing is they're actually picking up this metal with the camera. If you're picking up the metal with the camera, the IR is going to reflect. It kind of distorts it a little bit. Also kind of blinding. The higher the camera, the better. Shooting straight down into the system, you get more bang for your buck. The IR is going in. That's what makes everything so you can see at night. The IR is up. And so it's a big pet peeve of ours is that we want this camera high, and we want to try to not get any of the panels into the camera view. Now this is a live video camera, YagerPro Live Video, so it has a 90-degree lens in it. So it sees really, really wide. Especially if some people don't know, you can turn your phone sideways and it sees really, really wide. So with the live video, it's hard not to pick up some of the panels because it is such a wide lens. But especially right here, you don't want to mount your camera to the panels. The hogs are going to hit the panels, it's going to damage your camera. So get back 1.5 feet. If you got a lot of coons, get back even further. So we're going to go ahead and tamp this in, get the camera mounted, start testing the system, and we'll get back to you. So we got the camera mounted. You're going to see some of this equipment is not standard for what we use, but again, we're using their equipment, so just kind of work with us on that. It's not the camera, yes, the gate panels, yes, but we wouldn't be using this box right here. One thing I wanted to point out is when you're dealing with these live video cameras with YagerPro, it's not a defect, nothing wrong. Make sure that when you plug in this backup battery cable, it is very well inserted. One thing that we've learned. It's designed that way so it don't pop out. Just make sure you push it in real good. Now, before you leave your trap site, if you'll pull your app up, your YagerPro app, go in there and it'll show you if the camera is actually registering the backup battery. There's 3 batteries for the camera system, the live video system, and it'll show you if the backup battery is hooked up. Very critical, especially if you're 2 hours from your trap site. So basically, again, we're going to zip tie this box, which is the backup battery box. We got our camera up and running. What we're looking for on camera angle is, if you look over there where the white control box is at, if I didn't mess Zeb up on the camera, we're kind of looking, let me just get in there. Now our safety pin is in, we're good to go. No chance of, getting crushed by the gate. What we look like in our business is we want the top of that camera to catch this right here. I don't care about anything up here. I really don't. There's no hogs up there. This is the threshold. This is where the hogs are going to come through. Now, if it was a complete Hog Cutters program that we'd be running, you know now, or you would know, we're going to run an ice camera, YagerPro ice camera outside that gate. But in this case, it's not. So what we're going to do is we're worried about here down, the hog will come in, and then we're going to reach a point up here that we're going to draw a line of corn. If it was multiple hogs, then we can count them. Now again, we like our corn to be as far away from that gate as we can because we want that buffer of distance. And if you're trapping the way you should trap, the hogs are relaxed, they're not nervous, they're not jumpy. We watch the hog's tail. The tail hangs. Hog is generally calm, laid back. If that tail starts curling, there's something going on out here. Another hog, coyotes, whatever. So to kind of give you an idea on camera angle, camera placement, and at this point we'll pull our line of corn out. We're going to go ahead and test fire the gate, make sure the gate functions as designed, and then we're going to pack up. And we've actually got another system on this property that we just need to do trap maintenance on, which is swapping batteries. So we got our line of corn in. You can see that it's about 3/4 of the way back into the trap. We went ahead and did a full test of the gate, watched the gate drop. Anytime you straighten the gate, my advice is to go ahead and watch it drop. A couple things I want to point out real quick is that when you're putting these gates in, there's no safety pin in it, so I'm not going to be shoving my fingers down in here. But you want kind of an equal distance. Zeb's going to zoom in there for you. On that side, and then on the other side. It don't have to be perfect, but these gates are built with a tolerance to allow some uneven ground, but you kind of want that thing to be, you know, even on both sides. We're probably 60 miles from the house, so as most of us know, you know, work ethic is diminishing in this country. So we're out here, we're going to do it right, and we're going to get it right until we, you know, get it right so we can go home. But test everything, swap the batteries, get everything running perfect. Now, the big negative here is human scent. That's the big negative. This solo boar that's coming in here every evening, no matter how careful we are today, most likely he's going to smell us. Now, if he's used to being around farms, he's used to being around people, it may not bother him a whole bunch, but it may. And he may walk up to this gate tonight and stop, turn and burn. Give it a couple days, he'll come back. Because again, the weakness is the food. So in this particular situation, what we're doing on this property is we're moving this gate from like a set of panels to a set of panels. That doesn't always work because you're dealing with human scent. On our business, the systems that we run, it's a gate with every system, everything's ready to fire. So the reason we're doing that is human scent. Because sometimes just a little bit of human scent's enough to send them down the road and they're gone. So we're gonna wrap up here, load the truck back up, head across the property, 10,000 acres, so it takes us a little bit, and we're gonna do maintenance on another system, and then we're going to head to another system on another property. So we're making our way across the property, a little National Geographic here in South Georgia. Y'all get the little look over here at the pines. So these are some up and coming pines. The lower limbs have been trimmed, and then you've got all this underbrush here, which is good quail habitat. And then once you get closer to quail season, hunting season, then this will be they call it chopped up, where they can get in there and actually walk it with dogs for, you know, finding quail. And you've got some really pretty live oaks coming up here, Spanish moss hanging down. We're very fortunate today. It's 96 degrees. It's a beautiful day in South Georgia. I mean, the weather's just perfect. It gets kind of wet down in there. We actually had a trap down in that straight off here where the camera's pointing. But we're going to head to a different location. And it's a standard YagaPro trap, live video camera, but not running a feeder. Since they're on property, they do a lot of hand baiting. Not a big fan of hand baiting. It's human scent again. But anyway, so we're going to keep heading towards the place. So we're making our way over to this next system. See the landscape change a little bit, taller pines. We did a project several years ago. It was 23 square miles, 18,000 acres. We ran 7 systems, 24/7, 365 on it. And it just was amazing how long it would take to get across the property. We used our gator. That was our main method of transportation to get across that property, was our gator. We left actually one of our mini hog trailers on the property. But these larger tracts of land, they're really pretty. Of course, big tract of land, a lot of hogs, and especially when you got wet pockets. There's a lot of wet pockets where we're headed to right now. But just kind of wanted to give you an idea of the landscape. You can tell it's a little wetter here. You got some ferns growing in that. But we get a little closer to the trap, we'll do a little bit more footage. So we're on the other side of the property. We installed this trap probably about a month ago. It is the newer YagaPro gate. This is the latest and greatest YagaPro gate. Few major changes. It's got a latch design here, where the gate actually goes up into what would be like a kind of like a trunk lock. The gate is a little bit shorter this way. Doesn't affect the hogs. The safety pin is this. Not going to go anywhere. Major change with the gate was Control box is no longer mounted here. Now I did a video where we've mounted our control box back on the gate, but wire comes over, runs down. Control box is mounted on a T-post. Same thing. Battery, pretty much that's all the same, except you've got this wire running through going there. So the thought process was, if there are, flooding waters, a lot of control boxes get damaged with flooding. So you can come, pop this off the T-post, disconnect it, and go. We still prefer to put our control boxes on the gate. That's just our own personal preference as a business. But I installed this trap for them, like I said, about a month ago. We didn't do the big pole. We did God's natural big pole, which used an oak tree just to mount the live video camera up on that. We have trapped one decent group in this system. Currently right now there's a really nice buck comes in here every night. We've got peanuts and corn in this trap. They're hand baiting, they're not running feeders. So we're gonna swap the gate battery, hit them both with a voltmeter, swap the live video camera, test the system, load back up in the Tacoma and head to another property. Pretty quick little deal here. Again, you'll see, Zeb will do a little footage of what we're at. We're actually at a food plot. We would not put a trap here. That's just us. We would never do this. This is a food source. We'd get the hell away from this food source and we'd be over someplace else. But again, we're a consultant, big word, for this landowner. So we're kind of going with the flow. But again, if I'm trying to trap hogs off a food plot, why would I want to put a trap right there? I'd want to get between the bedroom, wherever that's at, and this food source. So you'll see we T-post in just like we just showed you at the other system. Same thing, Gorilla Tape, big zip ties, and standard single gate Jaeger Pro 12 panels. So we got the control box battery swapped out, checked all of our connections to the control box, to what we call the latch. Everything's tight. Tested the gate, drops, tested the camera, good to go. On these large scale land tracks like this, we've worked several. For us as a business, the biggest thing is support. It's a large tract of land. We're out here in the middle of 10,000, 18,000 acres by ourselves. Different hours of the day or night. Is somebody available, somebody to help us? Do we need tractors? It's unbelievable, what we might possibly need out here. And so on this particular property, it's just been phenomenal support. That's why we kind of agreed with this consulting thing, just because if there's anything that we need, it's available. Like today, there's a guy available if we need an extra guy. So that is the touchy-feely of that today, boy. I mean, that makes it for us, because it is a large tract of land and we're trying to get across it. And so it's nice to have, at your fingertips, equipment or anything that you need. So we're done on this property. We're gonna head to another one. We call it Shorty. And it's just one of our farmers that we work for. Kind of walk you through Shorty. Trap's been there for several years, semi-permanent trap, and we've moved it 100 yards here, 100 yards there over the years. We've had good success with it. So we're gonna wrap up. Got about a 30-minute drive to get there. So we're coming off the property, and some of you have figured out I'm a little bit of a health nut. Between my big ass salad I eat every night and my yogurts. But since we were driving, I was gonna do one of my keto organic shakes. So I was drinking it and it seemed to be like it was a little thick. And then it seemed to be very bitter. I mean, it's keto, so it's not going to taste good anyway. And so the expiration date on it was 5/9 of 2024, so it should be okay. But this is an indicator. I'm not trying to be gross. Y'all may want to look away, but I think there's something wrong with it, okay? That's supposed to be liquid, all right? I'm going to squeeze it now. I know what it really looks like, and I'm not trying to be gross, but I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm fairly confident that there's something wrong here. Okay, look at that. That's supposed to be like a little drink, and I mean, it's coming out like poop. I'm confident that if you put this in a hog trap, they probably would run away. And I'm going to get a different drink that hopefully is not like Play-Doh. So we're here at Shorty. It's the name of the trap we have here. We trap, I think, 3 traps for this farmer. We have trapped for this farmer for years. This particular property, we've got a crop field over here. We've got a crop field over there. We've got a strip of woods that's not real big. And then on the other side of that is somebody else's land. So it's a little tricky here. So originally when we got on property here, we kind of set the trap a little bit down in the woods, and since then we moved it maybe about 150 yards down in the woods, but we don't have much woods to work with. So that's one of the problems in South Georgia and probably other places, is that you have these little strips of woods between these crop fields. Now this is non-irrigated, but it's a little strip of woods with a creek that runs through it. So these hogs migrate from one strip of woods to another strip of woods to another strip of woods. You may not have any hogs here for 2 years, and then all of a sudden a group gets pushed in, they lay up down here in the water, and then they come out and hammer the crop. This year it's peanuts. Over there on the other side it's cotton. So when we start talking about equipment for the business, that's why we've got 3 gators and 2 four-wheelers and 3 different trucks. So we had to get down in here, and now we're going to offload onto the four-wheeler and work our way back to the trap. Now we could trap right here at the edge of the field, but again, the food source is right there. So we go down in the woods and catch them between that creek and the food source. So we're loaded up, we're gonna head back and do maintenance. This is a trap that we run 24/7, 365. So you'll see that it's gonna have an ice camera on the outside. It's gonna have a mine camera running the trap, on-time feeder, everything that will be standard for our business. So let's head back there in the woods and see if we can fight some mosquitoes. So we're looking at the ice camera from the gate, walking down through here. Now you can see a little bit of a trail. It's actually not a hog trail. That's actually raccoons. Coons frequent this trap a lot. You know, you got to kind of come to Jesus with the fact that you're gonna feed coons. It's just part of the business. With feeding these coons, they're making trails, which I had an old trapper tell me a long time ago, and I believe it, that hogs run up on them trails and they follow those coons because they know they're going to a food source. So feeding coons is part of the game. It just is. It's frustrating because we fight them just like we fight the squirrels. But I do believe to a point the squirrel or the coons actually help us. But if you go down through here, you can see how these pocket of woods really is problematic, because the farmer's not going to go down in here routinely and check things. He's just not. It's not his job. He ain't got time to do that. And these hogs lay in these pockets, and they're just waiting and waiting and waiting. So for us, part of our job is to scout these areas when we're on property. And then, you know, the trap is always up, the cameras are always up, there's always corn pumping out to the ground, you know, and we're looking for hogs coming through. We know we have a single boar in this area who's frequent, comes in here, not so much to the trap. So what you have right here is basically a fire break, where this will be haired up, and then when you burn these woods, it contains it, doesn't jump to somebody else's property. So bear with me as we kind of smash through some of this underbrush here. Got a bunch of briars. And then kind of want you to get an idea. No one ever goes down here. So if no one ever goes down here, that's where your hogs are at. Okay? So we've got a little pond right over there that you really can't see. But you look at this, right? No one ever comes down here, no humans. And that's where your hogs are at. You can see you've got some beaver damage. Some old beaver chews there where they've been nubbing around. Of course, I'm looking up because dead tree limbs do fall. But yeah, so it's a perfect place for hogs. But we scout it, we look at it. You know, we've got tracks here that we're going to check. Right now they're all deer tracks, what we're seeing. But that's part of the problem, is down in these pockets between these farm fields, these hogs will lay up, come out at night, come back in. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea. We'll walk out to the peanut field so you can get a look at the peanut field. You can see a tree over there that a beaver done killed it. Let me use this newfangled camera and zoom in on it. Oh boy, Zebby's going to be getting on me about that one. But you see how they just eat the bark all the way around it and they kill it. So we're out here in a peanut field. Now the peanuts didn't do real well down here in this lower part. A lot of water come down off the hill. The ground got really, really crusty right after the peanuts were planted. And the poor little guys couldn't pop their heads up out of the dirt. It just happens. It's not crop damage. It's just, it is what it is. So this is a non-irrigated field. And it's either too much rain, not enough rain, or just right. That's the life of a farmer. It's a gamble. They're the world's largest gamblers, in my opinion. So, a little bit about thermal shooting. We've actually done thermal work in this field during planting season. You know, the farmer will come in, plant a crop. We got hogs that just show up. They get pushed from somewhere else. Now we got hogs. We're trying to compete with this food source. It's almost impossible to trap. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. So we'll come in here because we work for this person. It's the only reason we'll do it. We'll come in here and we'll shoot hogs off the field just to buy time for let the plant come up or the corn come up. But on a much larger scale, for us personally, it's a very, very risky, liability driven, in my opinion. It's just a lot of liability with this. You've got residential structures. You've got cows. You've got things going on the other side through these woods. A lot of people, and this might rub a few wrong, but a lot of people that are running thermals, meaning thermal rifles and scopes, you know, they're not trained. They don't know things about ballistics. They don't know about weapons at night. And for me personally, I get that there's a need for it and there's an application for it, but there's also a lot of liability with it. It's not really something I enjoy doing. I'd rather trap a hog than shoot a hog. I do like being out here at night in the dark. I've sat in this field many a night in a lawn chair up at the top of it and just sit under the stars and feel in tune with nature. But shooting hogs at night, there is an application, and I already said that. But trapping hogs, it's about numbers. How many can you put in a trap? We've trapped as many as 54 hogs in one trap at one drop. So enough about that. We know we've got one single solo boar that likes to pop out in that corner up there, doing a little bit of damage. Even though the peanuts are up, he's just ornery like that. So you'd never know there's a hog trap back in here, but there is. And that's the name of the game. So we're going to ease back in here and connect back up with Zebby. And then we're going to show you one more thing on a feeder, and then we're going to put it in the wind. So you can see how we got the trap tucked in here. This is the trap's third home on this property, meaning we've moved it 3 times to get the spot we think we want. We've been using on-time feeders for over 20 years. So way before we were a business, we were running on-times. The beauty of the on-time feeder, in our opinion, is that you can adjust the power of the spin from 175 to 50%. Pretty much all of our stuff spins at 50%. Conserves battery life. We don't need to be slinging corn. This trap is very oddly shaped. Not by Pro, by us. The way we put it in here, we had to work around some trees and we had to work around some stumps. So I'm right up here where the camera's at, but we've got basically kind of a blind pocket over here that we don't need. The camera's not going to see over there, just the way the trap is shaped. So in order to correct that, the feeder only spins at 50%, but we put a feed bag up, or you could put a piece of hardware cloth, and it just causes that corn to drop straight down, and basically that area is of no interest to the hog, except when you trap them. When you trap them, they like to get back there and hide because it's got brush and stuff in it. So those are some considerations if the trap is not the design that you want. Out of 22 systems we're running, there's probably only about 3 that I think are absolutely perfectly designed. I just like the way they're set up, but again, when you're in these woods, you just got to work with what you got. So we're going to reset the system, everything tested out good, jump back on the four-wheeler, head back to the Tacoma and get on the road. All right, we just got home. Kimberbit, is that your ball? She's frustrated, so that's what she does when she's frustrated. Hey, is that your ball? Hey, you sassy? Really? Are you sassy? Hey, you sassy? Are you sassy? Are you mad that you didn't get to go hog trapping today? Okay, we're back. We kind of skipped one of the traps that we were going to get to. It's actually not due for maintenance for several days, but you really don't want to be doing trap maintenance when it starts getting a little bit later in the evening. You might bump hogs out of there. It's always good, like I say in the other videos, it's the heat of the day. I mean, when it's 100 degrees, that's when you need to be in a hog trap. Not when it's cooling down in the early mornings or late evenings. So we got back home, put the truck up, fueled it up, trailers up, four-wheelers up. Batteries are on the chargers. We actually added a fourth NOCO bank charger, so we can actually charge 16 batteries at once. The way we run our system, there's 3 batteries with every trap, so it don't take much to fill up 16 chargers. Updated the customers on our board, so we got that part taken care of. And so I've had a little trouble this evening doing this little ending clip. I guess it is what it is. I kind of want to get it right, and I'm not sure what right is. But y'all hear me talk about all the time about a beautiful day in South Georgia. They weren't always beautiful. So this is that part of the behind the curtain, for you to take a peek at. And for those of you that just want to learn about trapping hogs and you don't want to peek behind the curtain and you might want to click off and go look at something else. It's difficult because Zeb's going to see all the video footage, and he told me that today. I've written the majority of my adult and teenage years. I've written since the 6th grade. So however old you are in the damn 6th grade, I'm 55 now, so somebody that's smarter than me can do the math. There's a lot of material I've written. The boys most likely have not read hardly any of it, and I get that. Maybe one day they will, but the video stuff's a little tougher, especially with Zebby doing the editing. He's going to see this. So maybe that's why I'm trying to get it right. But the days weren't always good after I retired. It wasn't a loss of identity, and I'll talk about that a lot. There's nothing in the house up there that says cop. Never was the cop guy. I didn't have the thin blue line tag. I don't have none of that. That just wasn't me. Marine Corps sticker, yeah, there's one on that truck. There's one on that truck. There's one on that truck. There's a Marine Corps sign right here. I mean, I'll take a hit for that one because that was just a good moment in time. But for me, it was really like I just woke up one day, and for 30 years, I was so driven to try to do things right and make things better and try to help people. And then you wake up one day and you're not. And you're like, well, hell, then you feel bad. I mean, it's guilt. I felt guilty that I wasn't out helping my guys I worked with every day. I felt guilty. I can't explain to you the amount of guilt. I've already talked about guilt in another video. In those first couple of years, I probably didn't say it was a beautiful day in South Georgia. And, I felt guilty because I was working every day side by side with my boys, living the American dream. But I felt guilty that I wasn't out there doing whatever it is that I did out there. And I know what I did mattered, but I just felt bad about it. And it took a while. It took a bit. And I figured it out. It's a process that you got to go through. But there's not enough recognition and understanding that when you retire, and I honestly don't believe it matters what damn profession you're in, there is a massive transition going on that you have to go through. All of us have to go through. I think on the first responder side, it's a little heavier due to the amount of guilt that you feel because it's just what you do. So if you were to get behind the curtain, which is what Heather talks about, the barber, behind the curtain, I'm still in theory, I'm still serving, right? I mean, I go the extra mile for the customer, and then I have my wife, my bride, the boss going, well, wait a second, we got to charge for that. I mean, we got to pay for all this crap. So I have to check myself routinely and go, hey, I'm not a public servant anymore. I'm trying to run a business. But I'm still putting my heart into it. So they weren't always good days. They're good days now because I got something to compare it to. And that's truly life. We grow from garbage, or we should grow. We go through the garbage and we grow from it. And we become something. And I hope that translates well and you understand it. So when you hear this guy, right, this hog tripper guy, talking about it's a beautiful day in South Georgia and it's 100 degrees, 400% humidity, and there's mosquitoes, cottonmouths and everything else, it's because I got some garbage. And I know what garbage smells like, and I've walked in it and I've felt it. And, and that's why I talk about guilt. We lose a lot of people in the first responder community to suicide when they retire. I'm actually an instructor in suicide awareness. I'm an instructor in 10 areas of a system designed to help people work through trauma, critical incidents. I can promise you that nowhere, and I own it, that wasn't a thought of mine with suicide. I was just tired. I was trying to find a way out of the tunnel that I was in. So to say that publicly doesn't bother me, and I've talked about it publicly. I've done presentations on it, but not to my kid. That being said, we're going to wrap it up. It was a phenomenal day. I'm going to head up there. Here it comes. You ready for it? And eat my big ass salad. It's probably going to be like a super big ass salad. Like those big salad bags that you buy at Costco. It's not an advertisement for Costco. But it's those big ass salad bags for like 5 people. That's what I eat. Yes, seriously. I eat that. Put a little nut mix on it. Well, I'm going to go up there and eat my big ass salad. I'm going to take a shower, get to bed. We got it going on tomorrow. I mean, it's rocking and rolling. Got a video this morning from one of my customers, high hog producing customer, HHPC. Sent me a video 200 yards from where we're sending my permanent traps. I think it was like 5 or 6, hogs about that big. I mean, migrating on the move. So not to make this too long, hope you all enjoyed today's video. Beautiful scenery. I hope that works for you. Please give us feedback. Absolutely give us feedback. We need it. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and we're going to shut it down, flip out the lights, let the batteries do their thing. My smart, stupid watch, I've kind of figured out a few things with it. I think the reason I'm not reaching 100 volts every day is just because I'm old. I don't think my batteries are as good as they used to be. I may need to recycle them, but that doesn't work that way. So y'all have a good night.